Welcome to Snippets, Bits and Bobs, a weekly themed channel of an eclectic collection of excerpts, quotes, poetry, and lyrics, read in a soft-spoken, slow A.S.M.R style to relax, inspire, or evoke a memory or two, perhaps to bring a smile or make you laugh. So I hope you'll be as excited as I am each week as I share new themes with you. If you are not familiar with what A.S.M.R is, please check its definition in the description box below. Welcome or welcome back to our special place, our oasis. Choose your favorite spot to relax, unwind, and decompress. Slow your pace and breathing. I won't rush you, so take your time. Let's get started. Today we'll talk about Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales, written in 1400 in England during the Middle Ages. It is the story of 29 people that meet at the Tabard Inn as they're on a pilgrimage to visit Canterbury, England, the location of the shrine of the martyr St. Thomas Becket. None of these pilgrims know each other, but they decide to ride together. And during their ride, they agree to a friendly wager. Each companion will tell 2 tales on the way and 2 tales on the way back. And whoever tells the most entertaining stories will be bought dinner by the rest of the travelers. So Chaucer meant to have all of these tales in his book. However, he died before the book was completed. So there are only 22 complete tales and 2 partial ones. I've chosen 2 of those tales to share with you today. All the tales are long, some more than others, and some are, let's say, kind of earthy. But I have really condensed them, and nevertheless, as you know, these are only snippets of the tales. It's not the whole tale of each pilgrim. And because the tales can be spoken in Middle English, I've chosen to speak them in current modern translation. The wife of Bath is a 5 times married woman of strength and backbone, which is not normally seen in the 1400s. This character Chaucer created is one of his most detailed within the Canterbury Tales, and unlike other women in the tales, the wife of Bath knows how to use her body and her mind to seduce men, marry them, and gain their money. And by the time of the pilgrimage, she is currently married for the 5th time. So she says, "Thanks be to God, eternally alive. Of husbands at the church door, I've had 5. If I have wed that often legally, and all were worthy men in their degree. As 3 of them were good and 2 were bad, the 3 men who were good were rich and old. Indeed, they were scarcely able to uphold the contract binding them. By God above, you know exactly what I'm speaking of. So help me God, I laugh to think all right, how pitifully I made them work all night, though by my faith it meant not much to me. They gave me so much of their treasury. 5 husbands' schooling's done the same for me. The 6th is welcome when he comes along. I won't be keeping myself chaste for long. For when one husband from this world is gone, some Christian man will wed me early on. Although she is blunt and bawdy in behavior, the wife of Bath knows how wives can be seen, because they are not the virgin maids that men first want. Older wives are not treasured, but they are still valuable and provide the same pleasure. Here she compares herself to barley bread, which is simple, heavy, but satisfying. So she states, "And let us wives be known as barley bread, and yet with barley bread, as Mark can tell, was many a man by Jesus nourished well. In such a state as God calls each of us, I'll persevere. I'm not fastidious. In wifehood, I will use my instrument as freely as my Maker has it sent." In the prologue, the wife of Bath is interrupted by another pilgrim, the pardoner, the one who sells indulgences. The pardoner started up, and thereupon, "Madame," he said, "by God and by St. John, that's noble preaching no one could surpass. I was about to take a wife, alas! Am I to bury it on my flesh so dear? There'll be no marrying for me this year." "You wait," she said, "my story's not begun. You'll taste another brew before I've done. You'll find it doesn't taste as good as ale, and when I've finished telling you my tale of tribulation in the married life, in which I've been an expert as a wife. That is to say, myself have been the whip, so please yourself whether you want to sip. At the same cask of marriage I shall broach. Be cautious before making the approach. For I'll give you instances, and more than 10, and those who won't be warned by other men shall suffer their correction, so Ptolemy has said in his connection. You read his Almagest, you'll find it there. Madam, I put it to you as a prayer." The pardoner said, "Go on as you began. Tell us your tale, spare not for any man. Instruct us younger men in your technique." "Gladly," she said, "if you will let me speak. But I still hope the company won't reprove me, though I should speak as fantasy may move me. And please, don't be offended at my views. They're really only offered to amuse." If you are enjoying this video, please remember to subscribe, like, and comment. Thank you. The next is the Parsons' Tale. The most significant character in the Canterbury Tales, involving the 7 deadly sins, is the parson. He is the last pilgrim to share his thoughts during the journey to Canterbury, and the only member of the group who delivers a sermon instead of a tale. The parson is the only member of the group who is seemingly without excessive sin, notably one of the 7 deadly sins, So this characteristic of the parson elevates his status as a man of the church above the other clergy members on the pilgrimage. The 7 deadly sins are those that prevent a soul from receiving immortality. As the parson describes each of the deadly sins, he makes it clear how each of the other travelers is guilty of at least one of them. The parson explains how those sins can be rectified, and to absolve oneself of sin, he or she must embrace one of the 7 virtues. The parson's sermon is on repentance that includes 3 parts. The first part deals with contrition, confession, and satisfaction. And the second part deals with confession and explains that as to be the revelation of truth to the priest, he describes 2 types of sins: venial sin, which is minor, and deadly sins, which are the major sins. And the third part, he explains the 7 deadly sins in length. So let's hear one of his treatises on the 7 deadly sins from this third part. Now it is behovely necessary to tell which be deadly sins, that is to say, chieftains of sins. Now be they called chieftains, forasmuch as they be chief, and of them spring all other sins. And the root of these sins then is pride, the general root of all harms. The sins that arise of pride advisedly and habitually are deadly. Those that arise by frailty unadvised suddenly, and suddenly withdraw again, though grievous, are not deadly. Pride itself springs sometimes of the goods of nature, sometimes of the goods of fortune, sometimes of the goods of grace. Now be there 3 manners of humility, as humility in heart, and another in the mouth, and the third in works. The humility in the heart is in 4 manners. The one is when a man holdeth himself as not worth before God of heaven. The second is when he despiseth no other man. The third is when he recketh not, though men hold him not worth. The fourth is when he is not sorry of his humiliation. Also, the humility of mouth is in 4 things: in temperate speech, in humility of speech, and when he confesseth with his own mouth that he is such as he thinketh that he is in his heart. Another is when he praiseth the bounty of another man, and nothing thereof diminisheth. Humility, eke in words, is in 4 manners. First is when he putteth other men before him. The second, to choose the lowest place of all. The third is gladly to assent to good counsel. The fourth is to stand gladly by the award of his sovereign, or of him that is higher in degree. Certain, this is a great work of humility. The parson proceeds to treat of the other cardinal sins and their remedies. The second one, first was pride, second is envy, with its remedy, the love of God principally, and of our neighbors as ourselves. The third, anger, with all its fruits in revenge, rancor, hate, discord, manslaughter, blasphemy, swearing, falsehood, flattery, chiding and reproving, scorning, treachery, sowing of strife, doubleness of tongue, betraying of counsel to a man's disgrace, menacing, idle words, jangling, japery or buffoonery, and its remedy in the virtues called mansuetude, or gentleness, and patience, or sufferance. The fourth, sloth, which comes after the sin of anger, because envy blinds the eyes of a man, and anger troubleth a man, and sloth maketh him heavy, thoughtful, and peevish. It is opposed to every estate of man as unfallen, and held to work in praising and adoring God as sinful, and held to labor in praying for deliverance from sin, and as in the state of grace, and held to works of penitence. It resembles the heavy and sluggish condition of those in hell. It will suffer no hardness and no penance. It prevents any beginning of good works. It causes despair of God's mercy, which is the sin against the Holy Ghost. It induces somnolency and neglect of communion in prayer with God, and it breeds negligence or recklessness that cares for nothing, and is the nurse of all mischiefs, if ignorance is their mother. Against sloth, and these and other branches and fruits of it, the remedy lies in the virtue of fortitude or strength, in its various species of magnanimity or great courage. 5. Avarice or covetousness, which is the root of all harms, since its votaries are idolaters, oppressors and enslavers of men, deceivers of their equals in business, simoniacs, gamblers, liars, thieves, false swearers, blasphemers, murderers, and sacrilegious. Its remedy lies in compassion and pity, largely exercised, and in reasonable liberality for those who spend on fool largesse or ostentation of worldly estate and luxury, shall receive the malison or the condemnation that Christ shall give at the day of doom to them that shall be damned. And the sixth, gluttony, of which the parson treats so briefly. So, let me stop here. The parson can be very long-winded. I will do a part 2 of the Canterbury Tales at a later date, since there are 22 tales of these pilgrims. Let me know which are the tales you would like to hear of the Canterbury Tales. I'm so glad you could stop by today. Thank you for watching. If you like what you heard, please share this video. Welcome new subscribers. If you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe and hit the like button. Also, share your comments below about this video and tell me what topics you want to hear in future videos. If you'd like to see recent videos of snippets, bits and bobs, see the links in the description. Also, click on the bell icon on your right to get the latest videos when they are uploaded, usually each week on Tuesdays. Can't wait to share next week's theme with you. So, have a good week and see you soon at Snippets, Bits and Bobs. Bye-bye.